First off, to begin modeling in Google SketchUp, go to the link on Google Classroom, click on Start Modeling, and that will launch your home page. If it asks you to sign in using Google and your school email. And then from the home page here, to go and create a new drawing, click on the drop down arrow next to Create New. Make sure you select decimal millimeters, and that will launch your drawing page. The first thing you're going to do is name and save your drawing. So click on the word Untitled. That will launch the save box. Click on SketchUp. Down the bottom next to name, we will write the name of our drawing. So 10 serving tray. And then click. So I already have a file named 10 serving tray. So I'm going to call it E10 serving tray 01. Save here. And then once that's done, instead of Untitled, it should say the name of your project that you've renamed it as. From there, we'll select the guy and delete him. And we are going to begin by drawing our handle. And we'll do that using our front elevation. So go to Scenes, Standard Views, and we go to South Elevation Front. And then click Scenes to close that. Use the grab tool, shortcut is H. It should give you a little icon of this hand with the arrows. If it doesn't give it to you, if you go to your toolbar down the bottom here and you scroll down, you can see it's this tool here. And you can click and drag the screen left, right, up and down, so you can fix up your screen if you need to. Okay, so I'm going to put my screen there. And then I'm going to begin by drawing the serving tray handle. I'm going to start with the basic rectangle. Shortcut is R, or the icon is this rectangle tool here. I'm going to click once and then lift my finger and then gently slide my finger on my trackpad and type in my dimensions now. So the dimensions I'm going to work with are 280, 90. It will give me that rectangle piece, and there I will zoom into that area for me to work on. I will center it using the grab tool, shortcut is H, and move it to the center of my screen. Now, one quick tip. On the bottom left, you have three icons: the question mark, the globe, and a picture of a mouse or a trackpad, which is input devices. Click on that and make sure you've selected mouse. Even though you are not using a mouse, this option just makes it a bit more streamlined and easier to navigate your drawing. And close that. At this point, I'm going to click Save, just as good practice to save every few steps in case it does crash or it stops responding. You have your latest version saved. Okay, from here, I'm going to start working on my handle design according to the design I did in class on a piece of paper. So everyone's will be different. So you need that as a guide for you to actually progress through this design. So let's say, for example, I'm going to get my tape measure tool, which helps me measure and mark things. Let's say, for example, I'm going to mark out the center here. So the center of 280 is 140. So that's the center of my piece. And then I'm also going to mark out where I cut down to, which was halfway in this direction, which was 45 mil, which is half of 90. And then from there, my design was 50 mil in this way, it went flat, and 50 mil in this way, it went flat. Okay, so far, my design goes flat here, and then it will start to curve up this way and then curve around that way. So it's going to do a curve kind of like this that you can see my cursor doing right now. Okay, so I know here it's going to start to curve upwards, but I need to put a mark or a tape measure line where it's going to stop curving, and it's going to be somewhere in between these two lines. Okay, so I'm going to click and drag out 95. Same thing on this side. Click and drag out 95. And then from here, I'm going to get my line tool. Picture is a pencil, but the shortcut is L for line. I'm going to click and draw that line first. Okay, you can see the line is still connected. You can press escape to stop that. And then I'll go to the other side, click and draw that line in, click down and press escape to break that apart. Now the next thing I need to do is put in the curve that I want to come up here. Okay, but my curve doesn't come all the way up to the top. It actually comes up to about here and then it curves around the top. Okay, so according to my drawing, it is 10 millimeters down. So I'm going to type in 10 and hit enter. So now what I'm going to do is put in an arc in here that's going to arc that way, and then this is going to arc upwards, back down, and the other side is going to copy. Okay, so I'm going to get my arc tool, which is this tool here. Okay, 2-point arc. I'm going to click where the arc starts, click where it ends, and then it allows you to create an arc anywhere within that tolerance there. Okay, and in the bottom right hand of your screen, you can see the increments. That's called bulge. And this is telling me that it's a 10 mil bulge. So I'm going to keep it on 10, press enter, and do that there. I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm going to do a bulge of 10 there. You can see both sides match. And then I now need to do the arc that sits on top. Okay, so obviously I can't go beyond where my piece of wood ends. Okay, so it will arc right to that edge there, and I click it down and accept it. Okay, so now I have created the basic shape that creates my handle. From here, I'm going to click save. Wait for that to save. And I am now going to draw in where my handle actually sits in this space. Okay. So first thing, I'm going to use my eraser tool. Shortcut is E for eraser, or this icon here. And I'm going to erase some of the lines that I no longer need, just to clean up my drawing a bit. Okay. Get rid of these, don't need any of those. All right, so according to my design, back to my tape measure tool, my handle is 110 millimeters wide. So from this line, my center line, I'm going to go 55 this way and 55 that way. Again, according to my design, I also know that my handle begins 30 mil down. Actually, my mistake, I just looked at my drawing. It actually begins 45 mil down. And then the whole width of my handle is 30 mil. Okay. So that's my handle in there. Now I need to fill that in with a line like this. Okay, you can see the shape there of the handle, but my handle also has some curved edges there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is my tape measure tool, measuring my curves and seeing that they all start 5 mil from either side. Oh, apologies. I'm going to get my arc tool now and curve it to the edge there, and do the same thing on the other side. Tape measure tool, measure in 5 mil, get my arc tool, click on those two and arc it to that outside point. And now get my eraser tool, shortcut is E, and erase all these lines I no longer need, including these little corner bits. Undo these little corner bits, and also now these big sections here. We no longer need those. And I also want to erase the section inside my handle so your fingers would be able to go through. Okay, how we do that is not with the eraser tool. You get your selection tool, which is your arrow. You click inside so the blue dots appear, and you hit delete, and it deletes that inside section. From here, I will orbit around the shape using my orbit tool. Shortcut is O, which is that little icon there. And if you click and hold it, you can orbit around. Now I will extrude the shape, give it some dimension using my push-pull tool. Shortcut is P, and is that little icon there. Click once and slide your finger backwards. Type in the dimension 12 because our wood is 12 mil thick, and hit enter. And we have our handle shape and design there. Okay, from here, what I'm going to do is I'm now going to cut out where we did our rebate joints on these ends here. So I'm going to get my tape measure tool again. And if you recall, our rebates were 12 mil this way to accept the 12 mil thick timber, and they were 6 mil this way. I will now get my line tool, shortcut is L, draw in that section there, get my push-pull tool, shortcut is P, click once and slide it down all the way to the bottom and click again, and you can see it has now removed that section which creates our rebate joint. Eraser tool, shortcut is E, drag and highlight those lines to remove them, move across to the other side, and we repeat the process. Tape measure tool, 12 millimeters this way. Tape measure tool, 6 millimeters this way. Line tool, shortcut is L. Draw over your line sections there, and then push-pull tool, click, drag it down, and click again at the bottom. Eraser tool, remove these lines, and hit save. Okay, from here, we have now finished designing this shape, and we want to group everything together so it doesn't get nudged or moved around at all. There's two ways you can do it. You can get your selection tool and triple click it, so 1, 2, 3, and it selects the whole object and everything turns blue. Or you can click and drag a box over the top of it and the whole thing turns blue. From there, right click, make group. Okay, so now it is a group, and when you click it, it comes up with that blue box around it telling you that everything in there has been grouped together. Okay, so from here, you're going to go scenes. We're going to go to ISO. Okay, and it's going to put you in this isometric view. And then we're going to change views again. We're going to go to our top view. So plan view top. And what we're going to do is make a copy of this. Okay, we're going to selection tool, click it. You can press Command C, Command V, and you can see it makes a copy of it, and just drop it down. Okay, but you can see it's facing the wrong way, so we need to rotate it. So still with your move tool engaged, I want you to go to these red pluses that you see, and when you go on the red plus, it comes up with that protractor. If you click once and then drag it around, it will allow you to rotate it, and once it's rotated 180 degrees, click it down again, the protractor disappears and your shape has been rotated. And if I use my orbit tool now, shortcut is O to rotate this back around. You can see I now have 2 of those handle pieces. And what remains now is just to do those side pieces to fill in the gap. Okay, so I'm going to move this back a bit and we're going to draw in the side pieces. So those side pieces, according to my design, are 45 mil high, 12 mil thick, and everybody's side pieces should be 400 mil long. So in saying that, I'm going to get my rectangle tool. I'm going to draw a long skinny rectangle like this, and I'm going to put in the dimensions 12, 400. So this will be the same for everyone's. What will change is how high it actually is. So now I will get my push-pull tool, shortcut is P, click and pull it up 45 according to my design. And then I will just now triple click or select the whole shape, right click, make group. I will also select it, copy and paste it, and drop it over on this other side. And now we're ready to assemble. Okay, so when we are moving objects, you need to select it first. So using your selection tool, your arrow, click it, and then you can press M for move, which is shortcut for your move tool. And I want to move this corner here into this little corner here. So I'm going to actually click that corner, slide it over, and bring it down to the corner that I want it to touch on, and then drop it down there. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I want this corner to meet this corner. I will get my selection tool, select it so it's blue, get my move tool, shortcut is M, and drop it down, make it touch that corner. And then over here, similar type thing, I want this corner to meet this corner. Now I'm going to move this handle in. So spacebar, shortcut for your selection tool there. Select it so it turns blue. Move, shortcut is M. And I want this back corner here to meet that corner there. Okay, the other one should snap together if everything is aligned and perfect like that. Okay, so from there, I'm going to get my hand tool, my grab tool, shortcut is H, my orbit tool, and I'm going to orbit around like this. Okay, and we have our completed carcass of our serving tray. One last thing we need to do is with your orbit tool, rotate to the bottom. We're just going to put a little base on this. Okay, so what you can do is get your rectangle tool and go to one corner, draw out the rectangle to the other far corner there, click it, and now get your push-pull tool and extrude it down 3 millimeters. So 3, enter, and I will also make that triple click it and make it a group. Okay, go back to your orbit tool, shortcut is O, and orbit back to the top. And from there, we can now give it some wood coloring. Okay, so from here, to now edit your shapes since they're in groups, you need to double click into it. So double click into a shape and it will give you this kind of dotted bounding box, and now it will allow you to edit it. So from there, you can go to materials, click on the second box there. You can scroll down through all these different types of materials, but obviously we're using wood, and you've got a few different types of wood that you can experiment with. So I often like to go for this last one and drop it there. You can go and do all the faces that you need. Okay. And go back out there, orbit around if you need to. Okay, select this one, double click into it, click the wood again, and you can drop it into all these surfaces there. And then click out of it, double click into this side, same deal. And orbit around, same thing on this one, selection, tool, click out of it, double click into that one. Okay, then we'll do the insides of all these shapes. Okay, and just to make the base a bit of a different color, just to see, because it will be a different color, your base will be made out of pine, where your the rest of your tray is made out of merbau or Pacific maple. Okay, I'm going to do a bit of a lighter color. Not a big fan of that. All right, we'll go with that one. Try one more. Okay, just testing all these. All right, let's go with this one. Okay. There we go. So just to set a bit of contrast with your different colors there.